Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Leo for June 2015. Go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, or click on the link below this video to see more about my personal live coaching, also to see more about my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine, which is intended to help you bring your shine into the world and make the most of all the awesome possible planetary aspects and to minimize unnecessary drama from the not so positive aspects. And while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community. So what's going on in June? There's so much sweetness in this month, it's crazy. We have two patches of sketchy kinds of challenging placements, but besides that, and even at the same time as those, we've got just this massive amount of awesomeness. So we're going to talk about all of it. So let's start at the beginning of the month with one of the challenges. There's a full moon on June 2nd. I feel these full moons, usually 2 to 3 days beforehand. I get a full moon freak out where it's like, ah, and then it's like it passes, and then I'm completely calm and centered and focused all month. And maybe you are the same way too. You'll notice that you have a rhythm as well. And so you might feel this energy from the last couple of days of May into the first couple of days of June. Fullness or completion comes to something of a Sagittarian nature, something you're learning, something you're teaching, something with traveling, something with international business affairs. Specifically for Leos, this is going to happen either in your fourth house of home and family or home real estate related things, or your house of children or creativity, which is also the house of true love. So there could be romantic things involved there as well. So some kind of fullness or completion is going to come to something in those sectors of life. Now, at the same time as this full moon is bursting into fullness, we have a challenging aspect of Neptune squaring the full moon. So so every planet, every sign, every placement has this range of potential expressions. There is no bad sign or bad planet. Okay, there's ones we associate more with positive things. I mean, as far as the planets go, we think of certain planets as being more scary or, whatever. But really, every planet has this range of potential expression from awesome to not great. And when we're having a planet make an aspect, which is a mathematical angle of critical importance, that is an angle that is a challenging one, then the worst side of that aspect is more likely to come out. So Neptune's lower vibration can bring confusion, deception, chaos, murkiness, escapism, things with addictions, avoiding reality. And so those topics are going to be very strong as an overtone for the full moon. So something involving your child not being forthcoming with something, or something mysterious involving your child, or something involving addictions with your child. And some of you, this might come in the form of, realizing that there is a problem with addiction. And it could be something as, not the obvious things that we think of with addictions. It could be devices, it could be Facebook, it could be video games, it could be food, but something involving something you're not getting the whole picture. And since Mercury is still retrograde, we're really not getting the whole picture anyway. But this is an additional aspect of just something that you're not being able to see. Now, Neptune also rules the sea and water in general. So this could be something challenging that comes from a water-related problem at your home or a house that you own, or something with your family. Water coming where it's not supposed to be. So check out your coverage for water beforehand. Things have gotten more tricky with the recent years of hurricanes and that. So if you're a homeowner or you own any property, definitely check to see, does your policy cover water that comes from the outside? Does your policy cover water that comes from the inside? Sometimes it's not very clear. And this could come up. Also, if there's any place where water could come, don't put things that you don't want wet there. So like, let's say you have some stuff in the garage that's stored and your garage doesn't leak, so you're not worried about it. Water could come there, so just safeguard your valuables and expect that water might be where it's not supposed to be. And this way it will help you become better prepared in the event that it does come where it's not supposed to be with this full moon. Of course, the moon also ruling the tides is another factor here. So yeah, anything involving creativity, homes, children, and water, and deception, and Neptune, these are all potentials at the beginning of the month. Okay, now after that passes, we start our sweet aspects. And some of them could be at the same time, because any date that I give you for a certain aspect happening, we know that we can experience that aspect before, and in some cases even after the actual event. So while that full moon is doing its thing, we have Mars starting this string of awesome aspects that it and some other planets make this month. So a 60-degree angle is called a sextile, and a sextile is a favorable angle. So Mars in Gemini comes and makes this beautiful aspect to Jupiter, and Jupiter rules expansion. Now, some of you are going to experience this lineup of Mars and the Sun and Mercury in your 10th house, and some of you will have this in your 11th house. So wherever they are, there's going to be a lot of activity this month, not only because those 3 planets are there, just those planets being there on their own, they're bringing all this energy there. So Mars brings a strong focus on something, and the Sun brings a spotlight where again, it's like a focus and extra energy. And Mercury, which has been retrograde, brings more focus, and then it's going to go direct. And then the new moon is going to happen in Gemini. So somewhere near that happening, you know, the new moon, the new chapter is going to open. So if you have it in your 11th house, which more of you earlier placements are going to have, then this is focusing on networking, the internet, groups, social media, teams, organizations, big companies, humanitarian or philanthropic focuses. So Mars is going to come and make this awesome angle to Jupiter, which for you early degree Leo placements is in your 1st house, which is your house about you and your physical body and your presence. And so it could be that networking, major networking can happen to promote whatever you are doing. There are so many people who are have Leo energy that are thespians, are actors and actresses and voice talent and musicians and performers. And so many of you may have already been feeling Jupiter's graces while Jupiter has been in your sign. And if you haven't, there's still a chance that it will, because it's going to be getting stronger for you middle degree, like say around birthdays around August 6th, 7th, and after, your big time might still be coming. You might have felt it a little bit, but it's going to get stronger as Jupiter is making closer aspects to your placements. And you might have more planets than one in Leo. It's really good for you to know your chart. You look online to see if you can run a free birth chart and see how many planets you have in Leo and what degrees they're at. Because Jupiter, I know a lot of people that whose charts I help with have a lot of planets in Leo. So you're not just getting Jupiter helping you when it hits your sun or your rising sign, if you're watching for your rising sign, or your moon. You're getting the expansion when Jupiter is hitting any of those Leo planets. Okay, so we have all of that going on, and so this networking aspect can add more vibrance to your cause or what you're doing. There's one Leo close to my heart and family that I'm thinking of who is getting into voice talent, and he is awesome at it, and I'm so excited to hear that he's doing this. And in this case, being out, I have chills thinking about it. So getting your stuff out there, being networking, going to events, getting yourself and your stuff where you can see it during this time is going to increase your odds of the right person seeing it and really expanding your sense of what you're doing and your work. So that's really cool. Now, some of you will have more of these planets in your 10th house, which rules your career, work, and life purpose. So still, it's coming in a different way, but pretty likely how you're presenting yourself and your work in the world, regardless of where your Leo placements are, has a chance to be brought out even further. And so June 5th just starts this magical succession, because Jupiter just being there on its own is enough, but now it's making these amazing angles to all these other planets that are just sending all this juice. It's like you connect in with something, and then you're connected, and then it's just like bam, 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 sending all this energy. So we start out with Mars doing that on June 5th. And then on June 8th, the sun comes right behind. The sun is chasing Mars right now. Mars moves more slowly, and the sun once every 2-ish years, the sun and Mars will be conjunct. And that happens this month, June 14th. It's a power day. But until it does, earlier in the month, we have Mars making an aspect, and then the sun comes behind and makes the same aspect. So now it comes behind and makes this beautiful aspect with Jupiter, expanding vitality, expanding the networking, expanding something key in your social arena for something that you're trying to do for yourself, promoting for yourself. In between that, on June 5th and 6th, we have Venus making this awesome aspect to Saturn. We always think about Saturn, firstly, as having like this heavy, beastly energy. I always call Saturn like a crotchety old codger. He's like grumpy and heavy and annoying and wants us to work really hard and is persistent and, but that energy is also the energy of wealth and wisdom and knowledge and just things the things that hard work over the course of time get us. So now Venus comes with Venus rules love, beauty, and money, and flirts with the crotchety old codger and makes him happy, and he's beaming, and this is positive. So some aspect of this focus, and this could be someone coming from behind the scenes, because Venus is going to have this energy of behind the scenes. It's in the 12th house. So something coming from behind the scenes can come and improve what you're working on, things involving home and family even. So then on June 9th, the sun is getting closer to Mars, and both of them are both together, and the sun accentuates wherever it is. So it's making Mars's transit even stronger and more vibrant from it being near there. It's like similar to how when you're closer to the sun, it's just warmer. That's what happens when the sun gets closer to other planets. It makes them warmer, it heats them up. We don't even need anything heated up because there's so much already. And for Leos, this is even better because all of these aspects are happening in fire and air signs, which are completely conducive to everything fire, which is Leo. So, and Jupiter, of course, is in Leo in your sign. So it's just like, so good. Okay, so then the sun comes, and Mars and the sun come and make this awesome angle now to Uranus. And Uranus is the planet of surprises. We have had some really obnoxious transits with Uranus in the previous months, and that has brought unsettling, bad news because it was in a bad angle. But this aspect is in a good angle. So the same as we tend to naturally see more challenges come with whatever the potentials are for that planet when there's a negative aspect, when there's a positive aspect, then the positive ends of that potential are more likely to show. And for Uranus is this just brilliant energy, like a lightning bolt. It brings in things out of the blue that revolutionize things. And it's in this very radical sign of Aries, which is forward moving and just awesome. So that's happening. So the sun and Mars are both making this amazing aspect. And again, for some of you, this is going to be happening, highlighting this 11th house of networking or groups or friends or social scenes or your place how you are in the group. Okay, so there's the energy of you and what you're doing, and then there's the energy of how you're helping or how you are, your role within the group or within society or within the network. And it's your place in the group is very strongly aspected. So it's like Leo energy is vibrant just for the sake of itself, just for creativity's sake, which is wonderful. And then when we take it and put it in the energy of the group, this 11th house is being accentuated. It's like we didn't just come here to just be fabulous and awesome for the sake of itself. I mean, part of it is why we came here, just for the sake of itself. But part of it is to take that and bring it to the group. Like, how can that help people? How can we piggyback off of each other and support others and bring the whole group up in the places where we have already figured things out or just naturally came in good at something? So your place in the group is very much highlighted at this time. So, it's fine to have fame for fame's sake. That's awesome. There's no judgment on that. And that's a wonderful experience. And many people, when they get in that space where they're having the attention on them, they start to get this sense of, wow, what can I use this attention for besides just being on me? It's for the group, it's for the community, it's for the world. And that's very strongly highlighted. Okay, so then we have Mercury going direct on June 11th, and we know that June 11th through June 14th, the several days before and several days after that Mercury is going retrograde, is like slowing a car down to make a U-turn. It's annoying and awkward. And those periods of time, devices, communication, transportation, mobility can be a little bit more haywire. So just be aware and take the usual precautions. You can also watch the video I made on Mercury retrograde. You can search for it on my channel that give more implications of Mercury retrograde. We talk about it all the time. So on June 14th is one of those power days when the Sun and Mars make their once in two-ish year lineup. And it's not a coincidence, I don't think, that this is happening on the day where the energies start to clear for Mercury, because you can be super productive at this time. So if you've been listening to my forecast, you know that May through October, there's this story of going backwards, retrograde. One or more of the personal planets or their shadow periods will be in retrograde, which brings this focus on things from the past. So it's not always the best time to launch new things in these circumstances, but there are caveats to that. And the end of this month, specifically from June 14th through the last days of June, you have a pocket of time where if you have to bring something out, something that just can't wait until June when the personal planets are done doing their thing, this is a window of time where you can do that. And especially if it's something you've been working on from the past and polishing up, if you have this big launch like it's your life's work and it's never been seen before, maybe you want to wait unless Spirit is telling you very clearly that this is the time, which it could be. But you might want to wait till there's more forward movement without any of the hindrances of the retrogrades. But if you can't, if there's something that you can't, or if it's something from the past that you're going back to, like in this instance of this person who's going back to something that they've always been good at and they're presenting new things, it's something coming from the past, so it's not really brand new. So any work you do on polishing it up and bringing it out is kind of protected by the retrogrades in that way. So June 14th, also we have Saturn going retrograde, and Saturn had moved away from Scorpio, which most people were like, yay, it's gone out of Scorpio in this heavy relationship space, and now it's going to retrograde back into the last degrees of Scorpio. So there's some more karma here that has to be dealt with. I believe that karma is associated with strong beliefs on something. So when we have a belief about how something should be, and some of these are conscious beliefs and some of them are unconscious beliefs, and when they're unconscious it gets more tricky to locate and adjust, but sometimes it's something very obvious, like you have a certain opinion that certain things should be a certain way, and that's it. And there's no wiggle room, there's no gray area, and everyone who doesn't do it that way, they're bad and they suck. That's the kind of strong energy that pulls that situation to you like an irresistible magnet. When you have a strong opinion about how something should be, you're making it more likely that you're pulling events to you that give you a chance to soften that. An example is having children. How many times has someone, before they had kids, say, I would never do that. I would never do that with my kid. If I had a kid, blah, 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 whatever, right? And then you have kids and you're like, you're doing all the things you thought you weren't going to do. Because, first of all, you had a strong opinion about it. Second of all, I don't know, just parenting is just like that in a lot of ways. But the point is that the more strongly you cling to something, the more strongly you pull events to you that give you a chance to soften those things. And that's what clearing karma is all about. And when Saturn moves back into Scorpio, we're having this several-month opportunity of really clearing up some spaces in our relationships. So here's something that you can do. And you can do this on topics involving relationships or topics involving anything. It's something that you can do without getting anyone else's help. You don't have to pay anyone. You can do it quietly and privately in your own space. No matter what your circumstances are, this is a way that you can make major headway on clearing karma. Write down the things you have strong opinions about, those things that just make you so mad that you just want to scream, that you think things should be this certain way. There are tons of things that we watch that we're like, I'm not really in resonance with that, but maybe you don't really have a strong charge to it. Those aren't the things I'm talking about. The things I'm talking about are the ones that just really chafe your bottom, where you're just like, I don't like that, I hate that, or whatever. Write down those things and then work on softening them. Because if you don't work on softening them proactively, the universe is going to work on softening them for you in the form of karma. It's going to be brought to you. So we have several months of that starting in the middle of June. Then on June 16th, we have this new moon in Gemini, which again is going to be very strongly focusing on these aspects of networking and connecting with other people. whether it's in group or virtually or in group in person. So be out and circulating. It's a good idea. On the 21st, we have the summer solstice, and this is another power day to do very deep internal work. I'm always talking about internal work because I don't see there's no separation in my mind between working with astrology and working with your inner space. I cannot possibly talk about the potentials of the stars that are coming without framing them in how this has to do with you and your programming. Because I've seen, from seeing thousands of charts for people all over the world, we have inner programs and the transits come into our being. I see them coming in through the crown chakra. They come in and they mix with your program, and your program is imprinted on your brain. Your program is imprinted in all your smallest cells, your DNA. Your imprint is in your musculoskeletal arrangement. It's in everything. And those potentials come in from the stars into your field, into your being, and they see what they're in agreement about. They basically have this discussion, and maybe the stars, like here this month, will say, time for awesomeness, time for fabulousness on every level. And your inner program, some of them will say, yeah, let's do this thing. I'm awesome, I'm ready, it's time. Then it's going to manifest in big ways. But where you have disagreements in the form of your unconscious or conscious belief systems that are limiting you, your belief system will trump that potential. That's why you can listen to horoscopes as long as you like. For your whole life, and specifically Leo, we've been talking about Leos being able to have things be big since last summer with Jupiter being here. A lot of people have written and said, Annie, there's nothing great happening for me. It's my time. What's happening? Of course, my answer is still the same. These transits are bowing down to your inner program, and your inner program is going to win. So you can see why I spend all my time focusing on what's your inner program and how do you shift it, because we want you to have these things come in that are good and have this discussion with yourself about, hey, it's time for awesome things, and you to say on the inside, yeah, it is, and then you project that out into your life. So that's why inner work. And that's why if things are not manifesting for you, it's not because astrology doesn't work. Of course astrology works. Every culture that has had written record of their civilization has used astrology for things from the most mundane to the big things, political things on the biggest level, because we are in a holographic reality. So everything going on outside is absolutely affecting us, even if we think it doesn't. So it's not that astrology doesn't work. It's that you are in your own way, and you got to get in there and make sure everything matches and is in agreement. There's this brilliant, I've been exposed recently to some principles of Aikido. If you don't know about Aikido, then look into it because it's really awesome. It's a martial arts that is basically defensive. It disarms your whoever opponent, and of course I'm always thinking of this is talking about physically, right? But I'm thinking of this on all different levels. How is this on all different levels? And so one of the rules of Aikido is always agree with your opponent. So if your opponent, meaning someone that comes to take you down physically, comes in, you want to face the same direction as they're facing. That's called being in agreement with them. And this is the same thing as these belief systems. You have to have everything facing in the same direction in order for the manifestation. So on the 22nd, we have Jupiter and Uranus now in this beautiful trine, which they've been in a soft or tight trine for almost all the time that Jupiter has been in Leo since last summer. But now it's like a hot spot where it's really happening. It's full on. So you notice that the Sun and Mars made these beautiful aspects to Jupiter, then they made these beautiful aspects to Uranus. Now Jupiter and Uranus are making these beautiful aspects to each other in a trine. And this has really good potential. So let's see, there's one more. So June 28th and June 29th, now Venus in Leo is going to make this great angle to Uranus. So more surprises, happy surprises in money, love, beauty, appearance, things like that. Something to note about that. That is in general a good time for doing beauty related things, but where it's a little tricky too, because we're in the shadow period of Venus retrograde, which is the worst time to do anything to yourself cosmetically that could be more permanent, or cut your hair off or something like that, because when Venus is in retrograde, we're not seeing really clearly. And Venus doesn't go retrograde till the end of July, but the shadow period starts June 22nd. And here, this is like June 28th, June 29th. So this might be your last window before you get a huge influence of Venus retrograde. You got to feel it out. Let your intuition be your guide. But this is a pretty sweet aspect for anything that Venus rules. So I can't see what's going on in your personal chart. If you would like some assistance navigating the emotional waters, I would love to help you. This is my department. I want to help you be in your highest expression. Go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, or click on the link below this video. And while you're there, you can see more about my personal live coaching. You can also get my Shine program, my 28-day virtual coaching program, which is available on a sliding scale, so it's accessible to everyone, and help your inner space be in agreement with the awesome things that the stars want to bring you. And be in disagreement with the challenging things that they want to bring you. So you can save yourself from necessary drama. And while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community. So I hope you have a wonderful June, and I'll see you next month. Bye.